Hey there, YouTube surfers. Thanks for tuning in to Big S Fun for another video. Today I want to talk a little bit about a good buy I got on Amazon through their renewed offerings. I got an iPhone 15, just an iPhone 15 regular. Let me unlock this thing. I picked this up. I got this for $520. And yes, it came out 2 years ago. It's 128. It's a 128 gigabyte version. It's actually blue. I'm not gonna take it out of the case because this is one of those two-part style cases, which has a. I'll put a link in the description. It was a cheap case, like a $15 case, but it's like a screen protector on top. It kind of wraps around. And I got the video, I got it set a little darker in here because of the glare. I've got this fancy new vinyl cover here for my table, which I got to work on getting the wrinkles out. Sorry about that, but anyway, that's why I got it. If I turn the light up, it's going to be kind of reflective, but anyways, moving along. I just thought I'd talk a little bit about this for a few minutes. So this phone it was renewed, but I'll tell you, I'll try to put a link to the buyer or the seller on Amazon. This thing is like practically brand new. Like I went into if you go into the settings and you can go to battery chart. Let me pull it up real quick. The battery health. The battery health is 100%. When I powered it up, the cycle count was 0. That means I don't know how it was even used. It was actually manufactured February 2025 of this year. And the first use date was July. So we're talking 3 months ago. So you can tell I'm really excited about this phone. I mean, it's brand new. Like somebody must have bought it and just resold it. I don't know. Now, unless the seller has a way to reset the cycle count and the battery capacity, I don't think they do, but possibly. But inspecting the phone, the only scratch I found was across, which you can't tell with the screen protector, was across the screen, and you had to really look really close. Like it was not even a scratch. Like I'm being nitpicky. It was like nothing really, nothing at all. The flipping the phone all around before I had the case on, it was flawless. Everything was flawless. So I was thinking like, wow, $520 for a 2-year-old brand new phone. What a steal. What a steal, in my opinion. An iPhone 17 regular costs $800 or maybe $830 brand new. So this is $300 cheaper. And it's it's practically brand new. Maybe I just got lucky. The condition was listed as excellent. They rate it by condition. There's excellent, good, acceptable, and I think there's even a tier above excellent. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. If you need a new phone, you might want, and I think they have a 2-week, I'd have to check, 2-week or 30-day return policy. So if you need a phone and you just want to spend around $500, I recommend, and if you don't care about all the fancy bells and whistles with a 17, get one of these. Check it out at least. At least consider it. Buy it. If you don't like it, you can return it. But so just a few features, and you can also find all this information out on apple.com. But what's it have? Well, you get Dynamic Island, which came out a few years ago. There's no action button. This just has the old, I know it's kind of dark, but has the old toggle. There's no camera button. But the first non-Pro to have USB-C, so it's got USB Type-C charging. You still have MagSafe, of course. You got 2 good lenses. You still have wide angle, and your main wide angle, and then your ultra wide angle lens. There's really nothing wrong with this phone at all. Like, if you just a 2-year-old phone, some people might think, oh, it's 2 years old, but it's really got everything. It doesn't have, the 17s this year came out with 120 hertz refresh, which is nice. This does, if you've never had 120 hertz refresh rate though, you're not really going to care. You're not going to notice. Let me find a video here. Let me just show you. So like if you're scrolling through, the 60 hertz can sometimes appear a little bit laggy, but it's not that big of a deal to probably 90% of the people. So unless you really need that 120 hertz, I would say consider this, check it out, save some money, $500. It's you buy it, it's practically new. If you can find one, again, maybe I just got lucky, but I don't know. I can't not recommend it. All right, so just to compare the left two, ignoring the iPhone Air, but you got the 15 here, the 17 here. This is going to go through some of the differences. And, the chip difference, no one cares unless you're a gamer. There is a difference in video playback. This is 20 hours on the 15, 30 on the 17. You got the center stage camera, which I talked about in another video. I'll link that at the end. Like I mentioned earlier, you still get okay. So the dual camera on the 15, you get a 48 megapixel main, and I think 48 ultra wide. I think that's what that means. Super high res photos. I'm just going to kind of skim through this. Same zoom options, 0.5, 1, and 2. Apple Intelligence, I don't think that matters. These are my opinions, but there's no differences there. USB-C, like I mentioned. You get I guess you get a higher starting capacity with the 7. So for $800, you get 256. If you get used for $500, you get 128. So that might be a reason there to get the 17. I don't know. That's what, you'll have to consider. Always on display. ProMotion, I talked about the 120 hertz. It does get brighter. So, there are some nice upgrades on the 17 versus the 15, but I guess you have to decide, is it worth it to you for $300 more? And the 250, I guess if you were to get a 256 model, that would bring the price of the 15 up a little bit. So maybe comparing size, if you add in the size differences, the storage size differences, perhaps the gap's a little smaller. Maybe you'd pay about $580 for used versus the $520 that I mentioned. So, yeah, there's some differences, there's some upgrades, but again, for the price, okay, here's the details. So the ultra-wide is 12 megapixels on the 15, and it's 48 on the 17. So, I don't know, in my opinion, like I talk about in my other video about the 17 Pro Max, on paper, there's a lot of these upgrades that look neat, but after you have the phone, whatever phone you choose, after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, I feel like most people are going to go, yeah, it does pretty much the same thing as my old phone, regardless of what it says, what it says on paper here. So, by paper, I mean, not really paper, but specs. That's like a term by not really paper itself, but I think you know what I mean. Again, stereo recording, spatial audio. I've used that on my 17 Pro Max, and I did not care for spatial audio because it picks up, I guess it depends on what you're doing, but it picks up everything around you, not just what you're trying to record. I didn't care for it. Front camera, there's some differences there. Dual capture. So, yeah, I think 80% of the things that folks use on a day-to-day basis are going to be covered if you get the 15. 17 has some extra features, but again, depends on what you want to spend. I guess what I'm trying to say is if $500 is your budget, the iPhone 15 is a great choice. I don't think you really need to go to a 17. But if you want those extra features, why not? Go for the 17. That's about all I have to say about that, as Forrest Gump would say. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good one, folks. Bye.